Om Shanti. A very happy Satguruvar. This is the Sakar Murli of the 9th of April, 2015. The essence is, sweet children, you are now making effort, you are now making Purusharth to become the most elevated human beings, to become Purushottam. Because the deities are pure, because the deities are Pavan, they are called the most elevated human beings. You are now becoming pure. The question is, why has the unlimited Father given you children refuge? Why has the unlimited Father given you children Sharan? The answer is, because all of us were in the refuse bin. The Father takes us out of the refuse bin and makes us beautiful. He makes those with devilish traits into those with divine virtues. According to the drama plan, the Father has removed us from the refuse, adopted us, and made us belong to Him. The song for today's Murli is, Who has come in the early hours of the morning? Ye kaun aa jaya, savere, savere. Om Shanti. The Father has to come to change the night into day. You children know that the Father has now come. Previously, when we belonged to the Shudra clan, we had Shudra intellects. The picture of the variety of clans is very good for explaining to others. You children know how you go around the cycle of these castes. The Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, has now changed us from Shudras into Brahmins. We become Brahmins at the confluence of every cycle. Brahmins are not called the most elevated beings. Only the deities are called the most elevated beings. Brahmins are making effort here to become the most elevated beings. It is in order to be changed from impure to pure that people call out to the Father. Therefore you should ask yourself, to what extent am I becoming pure? Students also churn their studies. They understand what they will become through their study. It is in the intellects of you children that you have now become Brahmins in order to become deities. This is your most valuable life because you are God's children. God is teaching you Raj Yoga. He is changing you from impure to pure. You are becoming pure deities. It is very good to explain the castes. Sannyasis do not agree with this aspect, but they do understand the calculation of 84 births. They can also understand that they who belong to the religion of renunciation do not take 84 births. Even those of Islam and the Buddhists, etc., can understand that. Although they do not take 84 births, they do take rebirth, but fewer in number. When you explain to them, they will quickly be able to understand. You have to have tact when you explain to them. Baba refreshes the intellects of you children who are personally sitting here, just as other children also come here to be refreshed. Baba refreshes you every day saying, imbibe these things. Your intellect should only continue to think about how we take 84 births and how we have become Brahmins from Shudras. Brahmins are the children of Brahma. Now, where did Brahma come from? The Father explains, I name this one Brahma. All of you Brahma Kumars and Kumaris are a family. Therefore, you must surely have been adopted. Only the Father would adopt you. He, not Dada, is called the Father. Only the Father can be called the Father. You receive property from the Father. A paternal or a maternal uncle or someone of the same family may adopt a child. The Father has told you how someone found a little baby girl in a refuse bin and gave her to a couple to adopt, because they didn't have a baby of their own. That child would start calling the couple who adopted her mother and father, would she not? Here, it is a matter of the unlimited. It is as though you children were in the unlimited refuse bin. You were lying in the river of poison. You were lying so dirty. According to the drama, the Father came and removed you from the refuse and adopted you. The Tamo-Pradhan world would only be called refuse. Human beings with devilish traits are body conscious. The vices of lust and anger are very big. You were in Ravan's big refuse bin. In fact, you are also refugees. You have now taken refuge with the unlimited Father in order to come out of the refuse and become beautiful deities. At present, everyone in the whole world is in a big refuse bin. The Father comes to remove you from the rubbish and make you belong to Him. However, those who have been living in the refuse have become so used to it that even when they are taken out of it, they still prefer the rubbish. The Father has come to remove you from the unlimited refuse bin. People even call out, "Baba, come and make us beautiful. Remove us from this forest of thorns and make us into flowers. Make us sit in God's garden." At present, we are in the forest of devils. The Father takes you children into His garden. You have now become Brahmins from Shudras, and you are to become deities. It is to become the kingdom of deities, not Brahmins. Although you are called Pandavas, you Pandavas do not have a kingdom. You are sitting with the Father in order to gain your kingdom. The unlimited night is now coming to an end, and the unlimited day is about to dawn. You heard the song, "Who came early in the morning?" He comes early in the morning to finish the night and to bring the dawn. This means He comes to establish heaven and to have hell destroyed. Even if this much remains in your intellects, you can have happiness. Those who are to claim a high status in the new world will never show their devilish nature. They would serve the yagya with a great deal of love, through which they will become so elevated. You should even give your bones to this yagya. Check for yourself, how will I claim a high status if I behave like this? You are no longer senseless babies. You can understand for yourself how you would become a king or part of the subjects. Baba has taken an experienced chariot who knew kings, etc. very well. Even the maids and servants of the kings receive a lot of happiness. They live with the kings, but they would still be called maids and servants. They do have happiness, and they also eat the food that the king and queen eat. Those who live outside the palace wouldn't be able to eat that. It is number-wise for the maids too. Some adorn the queen, some look after the children, and others sweep the floor. Kings of today have so many maids and servants. Therefore, imagine how many there would be there. They are all in charge of their own separate section. Their places of residence would be separate. They wouldn't be as ornate as those of the king and queen. They would come inside the palace, but they would still live in the servants' quarters. Therefore the Father explains very clearly, have mercy for yourselves, so that you become the highest on high. You have now become Brahmins from Shudras. This is great fortune for you. Then you will become deities. This confluence age is very benevolent. There is benefit for you in every aspect. When you prepare food in the kitchen, whilst remaining in a state of yoga, many will benefit. At the Srinath Dwar temple, they prepare food in total silence. They only remember Srinath. Devotees remain very engrossed in their devotion. You should remain intoxicated with this knowledge. There is such devotion of Krishna. Don't even ask. Two young children went to live at Vrindavan, the forest of Krishna. They were complete devotees of Krishna. They said that they would only live there and would leave their bodies there in remembrance of Krishna. They were invited so many times to go and stay in a good home and take knowledge, but they said that they only wanted to live there. They would be called the highest of all devotees. They completely surrendered themselves to Krishna. You now have to surrender yourselves to the Father. At the beginning, so many surrendered themselves to Shiv Baba. Many came, but when we moved to India, many remembered their homes and families and left. There are omens over many. Sometimes there is one type of omen and sometimes another. Baba has told you to ask everyone who comes, "Where have you come to?" Did you see the board outside that says, "The Brahma Kumars and Kumaris"? This is a family. One is the incorporeal Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, and the other one is remembered as Prajapita Brahma. All of these here are his children. Shiv Baba is Dada, the grandfather. We receive our inheritance from him. He gives this advice: remember me, and you will become pure from impure. He gave the same advice in the previous cycle too. This is such an elevated study. Your intellects understand that you're receiving your inheritance from your father. You children are studying the study to change from humans into deities. Therefore, you definitely have to imbibe divine virtues. Your food and drink, as well as your words and behavior, must be very royal. Deities eat so little. They are not tempted by anything. 36 varieties of food are prepared for them, and yet they eat so little. To be tempted by food or drink is devilish behavior. You have to imbibe divine virtues, and so your food and drink have to be very pure and simple. However, Maya is such that she makes your intellects completely like stone. Therefore, you receive a status accordingly. The Father says, in order to bring benefit to yourself, imbibe divine virtues. If you study well and teach others, you will receive a prize. The Father does not give this. You claim it through your own efforts. Check yourself to see to what extent you're doing service and what you will become. What would you receive if you left your body at this moment? If any of you were to ask Baba this, Baba would say instantly, "It is understood what status you will claim because of this activity of yours. If you do not make effort, you will cause a lot of loss for yourself every cycle. Those who do service well will definitely claim a good status. Internally, it is understood which ones are to become maids and servants. This would not be said out loud. Students at school can understand whether they will become seniors or juniors. It is the same here. Those who are seniors will become kings and queens, whereas the juniors will attain a lower status. There are seniors and juniors amongst the wealthy, and there are seniors and juniors amongst the maids and servants too. The status of the seniors is higher. A maid who is a sweeper has no right to enter the palace. You children can understand all of these things very well, and you will understand them even more at the end. You have to give regard to those who become elevated. Just look at Kumarka. She is a senior, and so she has to be given regard. The Father is drawing the attention of you children to this. Give regard to the Maharathi children. If you do not give regard, you are increasing the burden of sin on yourself. The Father draws your attention to all of these things. You have to be very cautious about how you give regard to everyone, number-wise. Baba knows each one. If something is said to some, they wouldn't take long to become traitors. There are also the bondages on the Kumaris and mothers. They have to tolerate so much. Mostly, it is the mothers who write, "Baba, this one troubles me so much. What should I do?" However, you are not an animal that he can force you. You must have some desire inside your heart. This is why you're asking. There is nothing to ask about in this. A soul is one's own enemy and one's own friend. You can do whatever you want. To ask means that you have some desire in your heart. The main thing is remembrance. It is by having remembrance that you can become pure. Lakshmi and Narayan are number one pure ones. Mama did so much service. None of you could claim to be cleverer than Mama. Mama was the wisest of all in knowledge. Many are weak in yoga. They are unable to stay in remembrance. If you do not remember Baba, how are your sins going to be absolved? The law says that in the end, you have to leave your body in remembrance. You souls have to leave the body in remembrance of Shiv Baba. No one but the one Father should be remembered. There must be no attraction to anything. This has to be practiced. We came bodiless, and we have to return bodiless. Baba repeatedly says to you children, become very sweet. Also imbibe divine virtues. There are now the evil spirits of body consciousness. Pay a lot of attention to yourself. Interact with others with a lot of love. Remember the Father and spin the cycle. Explain to everyone the secrets of the cycle and they will be amazed. No one is able to remember 84 births. So how could anyone remember 8.4 million births? That couldn't even enter anyone's mind. Even if you only keep this cycle in your intellect, it is great fortune. This play is now coming to an end. There should be disinterest in the old world. Your intellect's yoga should go to the land of silence and the land of happiness. Manmana Bhav is also mentioned in the Gita. No one who studies the Gita knows the real meaning of Manmana Bhav. You children know it. God speaks. Renounce all bodily relations and consider yourself to be a soul. Who said this? Krishna is not God. Some say that they only believe in the scriptures. Even when God comes, they would still not believe him. They continue to study the scriptures accurately. God has come and is teaching Raj Yoga. Establishment is now being carried out. All of those scriptures, etc., belong to the path of devotion. If they had the faith that this was God, they would start to claim their inheritance. Then even devotion would fly away. However, this can only be possible when they have this faith. Acha, to the sweetest beloved long lost and now found children, love, remembrance and good morning from the mother, the father, Bap Dada. The spiritual father says namaste to the spiritual children, and the spiritual children say namaste to the spiritual father. Essence for dharana, the first point. In order to become deities, imbibe very royal sanskars. Your food and drink must be very pure and simple. Do not become tempted. In order to benefit yourself, imbibe divine virtues. The second point, Pay attention to yourself and interact with everyone with a lot of love. Give regard to those who are senior to you. Become very sweet. Do not become body conscious. The blessing is, may you be constantly happy and content and receive praise from everyone. May you be constantly happy. May you be constantly prasanna chit and content and receive praise and receive prashansa from everyone. The explanation: the visible sign, the pratyaksh sign of contentment is happiness, is prasannata. Those who remain constantly content and happy are definitely praised by everyone. So, you can attain praise with happiness and can therefore claim the special blessing of remaining content and happy and also give it to others. This is because the final sacrifice, the final ahuti, in this sacrificial fire is the constant happiness of all Brahmins. When everyone remains constantly content, the sound of revelation will then echo everywhere, that is, the flag of victory will be hoisted. The slogan is, consider your mind to be God's valuable property entrusted to you, and always use this for an elevated task. Have pure and positive thoughts for others. Consider your mind to be God's valuable property, God's amanat, entrusted to you, and always use it for an elevated task. Have pure and positive thoughts for others. Om Shanti.